Hello G, welcome back to next one. In previous we discussed about what is a JSON file and we understood what is the rules and how we can build a JSON file. But on top of that there are two more very important concepts. These are JSON parsing and JSON validation. So if you are working as a tester and you are working on automation, so basically you have to do JSON parsing and JSON validation. Without that, API testing or API automation or anything around JSON files is not possible. So let's understand what is a JSON parsing. So first of all, JSON parsing means we are basically extracting the data from a JSON files and using those data. So here for example, let's say we have created this JSON and I'm getting a name as a Nishant. So I wanted to pass with another request this name value or this mobile number value. I first got a mobile number and then from that mobile number I wanted to create an account or I wanted to use it somewhere else. So basically I need to get this data from this JSON file and then I have to use it programmatically. So that is called a JSON parsing. And basically for a JSON parsing it has to be a valid JSON. So if JSON is invalid, something is missing, then we cannot do a JSON parsing. So the purpose of JSON parsing is JSON parsing involves extracting data from a JSON string and converting it into a format that can be used programmatically by an application system. Application system, which means any library or whatever operations you wanted to do, or a web development. Backend is sending a data to front end in a form of a JSON. So those data has to be valid, and then UI will represent data in a viewable format. So that is called a JSON parsing, and the use cases are extracting specific values, then converting data into another form. For example, I have this data, I have this bulky data, multiple student information. I am passing from front end to back end, and then now back end has to store this data into a database. So if we wanted to use data in a next level processing, then also we can do the JSON parsing, and apart from reading and processing data. So that is called a JSON parsing. Now schema validation. So first of all, what is a schema? Basically schema is a structure of a JSON file. So if data is being exchanged between the backend or a front end, then there has to be some rules and some standard format. For each and every APIs, initially senior developers or architect design the JSON file based on the needs and based on the what data they are exchanging. So based on that, schema will be decided and the rules will be decided. So for example, here I wanted to store a name. So name has to be a string. So that is pre-decided. Someone has already decided, or if as an automation engineer I am developing a test data, then I will decide for that the data has to be a string or boolean or object or a JSON array. So that is a standard format, and how you will get to know the information. For example, you are working on a API testing and you wanted to do the schema validation. So for that, as a demonstration, I am going to a Swagger. So basically you need to look up at store Swagger, Google it, open the first link, and this is how Swagger document will look like. We will discuss in further what is a Swagger and basically how to use it, but I am going to demonstrate about a JSON schema. So I'm going to expand any API and basically I'm going to duplicate the tab to make your life easy. So here we can see the example value. This is exactly whatever JSON we have built. So like this JSON will look like. Here we are passing ID, category, ID, name, multiple information about a pet, and this API is for if I wanted to add a pet to the store. And now this JSON has a predefined structure, like for example ID has to be an integer value, category has to be a two information like a name and ID, then again name, then again photo URLs, that URL has to be string. So someone has decided and they have created a structure. So now if I click on the model next to the example value, then I can see the structure. Whoever has defined this has provided a proper structure, and for that ID is a integer, category it is accepting two values. So it is decided inside the JSON object that there has to be two value, and for ID also it is decided it should be integer value, name should be a string value, then pet URL that has to be a string value. So like that, every value has to be decided. If you expand each and every tab, so you can see integer string, and if it is a array, then also it is defined the array status. And there are multiple status, predefined status, so those are available, pending, or sold. So if someone is making a request, then status data also should come from this particular data. It says to be available, pending, or sold. I cannot pass any random data. For example, status I wanted to pass not available or not exist. Like this I cannot pass. It has to come from these three data: available, pending, or sold. And around that, for each and every API, as a tester, we have to do the schema validation. It has to be matched with the architecture. Otherwise, what happens if I am building a third-party APIs and those APIs my client is not able to consume, then it leads to the error. And if you are working on an API testing, but you don't have much interest on a code and you wanted to do API testing quickly, then there is a one famous no-code automation tool, which is a XLQ. Let's have a demo of it.
XLQ is a leader among continuous functional test automation providers and is trusted by Fortune 500 enterprises across industry verticals. XLQ's AI-powered codeless test automation platform has proven to achieve 3 times the productivity and reduce test maintenance by 70%. That translates to over 50% cost savings and enables alignment with your continuous delivery. XLQ brings the discipline, flexibility, and power of a conventional code-based setup into a codeless world. Automation-first, no-code capabilities make it easy for testing teams without programming expertise to develop automation in plain, natural English. The world is undoubtedly moving towards low-code, no-code, and cloud apps that present their unique set of testing challenges. Our game-changing technology, XLQ Live, drives digital assurance across enterprise and vertical industry apps. Give your testing verifiable acceleration. Sign up for a free trial today.
So as per the demo in XLQ, you can do JSON parsing, schema validation, building a JSON without writing a much lines of a code, and very easily. Now we will see what are the use cases of schema validation. So validating incomplete JSON data in APIs to ensure the meet its expected format and requirements. So as I said, if I'm building a JSON for my client, they are going to use the JSON file to consume the data. So they have defined some rules, they have defined some libraries. So basically how it works, I have written some code and that code will produce a JSON file for me. Now what client will do, client has also written the similar kind of a code, and that code will extract the data from that particular JSON file. So that JSON rule has to be decided. Based on that, someone can read and someone can write the data on the top of a JSON file. So if there is some mismatch, then either right side code will fail or writing code will fail. So that's why it has to be a particular schema and particular set of rules, apart from enforcing a data integrity and consistency. So for we will get to know if the JSON is correct or we have to define some rules. Then we have to manage that and performing data validation and sanitization to prevent security vulnerabilities. So these are the basic use of a JSON schema validation, and for that, if you're working on a Java or any other programming language, there are predefined library. Those library you can use. Basically, you need to feed 2 type of data. One is a JSON schema, and one you have to feed other side you have to feed a JSON object. So one side you need to feed this data, and another side you need to feed this data, and it will tell true or false. Those JSON is valid or invalid as per the JSON schema validation. So I hope this video is informative, and in further sessions we will discuss how this can be done using a Postman. And don't forget to like and share this video. Don't forget to subscribe Fundu Testers. Thank you so much.